Mississippi, filling out the roster, of course, with Hog Rider, previously known as Player 01. Played for A-Team in 5WC 2020. That is where he is. Just to finally put some closure on his old history. And going to be accompanied by Novaco, a bit of a mechanics and tapping spawn for Michigan. Actually, this man Pop's scoring some of the tapping and DT maps and almost made A-Team, so gonna have big expectations for him here. And gonna be rounded out by Tanvir. Apparently had a pretty good Nomad 2 score in tryouts, so should be quite proficient on the tapping, but you know, as of course, Nomad 2 and the DT tapping not always correlated. We do have Bot Pizza as the third player for New York, so that is also what I expected. Just gonna add a note on that. The bursts are pretty short throughout the entire map, nothing longer than 5 notes, from what I recall, and the spacing as well gonna be pretty low. Not big on the aim like the DT2 is. Bit of an aim map in the DT2. We are gonna see early break from Bot Pizza. That wasn't really going to matter that much, but Novaco finding a break around halfway through the map, and that's really going to sting as the score lead was on a knife's edge, but now going ever so slightly in the favor of New York, and expect that lead to only climb as long as the 3 players can hold on to their combos. We'll see right out of the break if anyone gets tripped up. And no, it looks like they're easing back into the map quite nicely, as Novaco definitely going to be upset about that one. The thing with these new tournament players, of course, is yes, you can have such good scores on tryouts and in your own solo play, as Novaco will continue to miss sending the score further in New York's favor. But if you don't have the in-match experience of learning how to control your nerves, how to maintain your pattern processing, and keep up your aim, then you can just find some really silly misses, like Novaco did in the middle of the map here, and I think that lack of experience will be the difference maker in this one. Is Como, also the newbie, going to be missing near the end, but it's not going to matter, and his team will have more than enough score to take this one. Mustache, and the only FC on the side of New York, I think it was matched by Tanvir, as Hog Rider also unfortunately broke at the end. Some really good team scores overall. 2.5 million and 2.7 million is nothing to scoff at, but unfortunately Novaco, the nerves getting to him halfway through the map, and that's just the worst place to find a break. Another interesting point here is taking a look at the accuracies from Hog Rider and Bach Pizza, a little bit on the low side, so probably not necessarily a top score for the weekend, but we could see some. We could see it somewhere up there. I definitely expect plenty of Major League teams to be topping that, though. Alright, well, the pick does go to Michigan, and we'll have to see where they decide to take the pick strategy from here. They do seem to be leaning into just raw aim, especially with the Nomad 1 first pick. That's not something you really see too often unless you're so confident on your ability to be better on the aim compared to the other team and more consistent on the aim. That is something we have seen some teams take as their strategy, notably Canada and OWC this past year in 2025. They did lean heavily into the early Nomad 1 picks. Of course, when you have players like Zudinator on the squad, you can just expect them to consistently pump out FCs, and we saw that happen all the way into the later stages of the tournament on the aim picks, especially the hidden aim picks, the hidden ones. And Michigan maybe feeling similarly confident, maybe not quite Zudinator level, but still pretty confident on their ability to just hammer out some good consistency scores. And it will be Hog Rider, and again, he will be in for most of the mechanics, and actually just most of everything. Not the best reading player, but going to be forced to fill on this team as, of course, it's just even more justification for their double reading bans in the ban phase, hitting to an easy one out of the pool. Going to be accompanied by Lilycat, an 18 mechanics player from last year, as well as Novico, who we saw earlier. Another player who's fairly new to tournaments. They are a bit more tapping pilled than aim pilled, so we'll have to see how they do on this map. I would expect more of Tanvir to come in for this one, but maybe some of the slider jumps not the most friendly towards him, although Novico likely struggling on alt and tech. On the other side, we do see a bit more of the expected aim roster for New York. We see Como, their all-rounder, likely in for all things this match, as well as Colin 3 finally entering the lobby. And for that, Hard Rock, of course, is his specialty. Played it for many years on the A-team, up in the big leagues, upstairs. It does look like the third player will be Bach Pizza. Perhaps he is just more well-rounded than I thought, as I was thinking maybe Moustache would be the Hard Rock fill. But it looks like it will be Bach Pizza here, as they do go into the first Ki section. All combos on the side of New York still holding. It's just Hog Rider on the FC as Lilycat finally drops her recovery on the burst, misaiming that one. Novico also did drop his combo earlier, and there goes Hog Rider on the bigger burst as well. The big spacing, not quite catching the end of that one. And that does look pretty bad for Michigan now, especially as they lose all their combos there. Once again, big full reset at the end of the Ki, and Como and Colin 3 still to hold on. Okay, Colin 3, I'm not entirely sure what that one was. It looked like he aimed the note, but he might have forgotten to tap it. And even if you aim the notes, if you don't tap it, you're not tapping to the rhythm, and it doesn't really count. My friend. I definitely saw his cursor over that note there on the jump pattern. Looks like he did just forget to tap it. Unfortunately, we'll find another miss alongside Bach Pizza right here in this little second versus. Michigan do start to bring up some recovery combos here. It's gonna be Lilycat to drop hers into the second Ki, excuse me. And there goes Como as well, so there's a real opportunity for Michigan to pull things back. Como dropping his FC. No more FCs left in the lobby. It's Hog Rider and Novico on these recoveries, but they still have to hold through the second Ki section. And on that task, they are looking pretty good for themselves here. Not getting caught out on the big burst this time. Hog Rider and Novico both holding nicely. And I do think they will hold into the solo. The score lead still 300,000k, 300,000. Did finally dip under that line, but it is quite a tall task. Never mind you, not impossible, as they are holding onto the FCs as we enter this break. New York, some recoveries though, gonna slowly start to stave off this comeback from Michigan, and they're gonna need more, and they're gonna need Lilycat to hold, and Novico, but he's gonna drop his combo on the burst, and now it's just down to Hog Rider. Bach Pizza's gonna fall, but I don't know if Hog Rider can alone bring back this 260,000 score deficit. He has already missed in the map. I don't think his score potential is high enough. He would have to reach something like 700,000, and that's just too tall of a task at this point. Not enough combos on the board for Michigan. And even if New York were to have a total collapse here, it would not be enough. There's the ending slider, and yeah, the aim Nomad 1 barely going in favor of Michigan. But this Hard Rock 1, Como looking just a lot more comfortable, able to actually hold through the first Ki section. And you know, with these maps, holding through that first Ki is so important. have the easy part in the intro, and then you have the Ki, and then you have another easy part right after that. It's the only part of the map that's really sandwiched by two relatively easy parts with decent combo density as well. With big point on the aim and also slowly running out of straightforward aim maps. It is a question of where they will go. There's not too much question as to where New York will go, however, as they do go into the Nomad 4. Of course, the DT2 still sitting there in the wings, as is the Nomad 2. I'm sure they have plenty of players for that. Even Caffeine can play this Nomad 2, despite his weakness on the higher BPMs. Maybe Colin 3, the only player you might not put in for the Nomad 2, but Jameson able to play it. Buck Pizza probably able to play it. Mustache definitely able to play it. As is Como. But for now, we do have the Nomad 4, which is almost like a Nomad 2, I'll say. It does have a little bit more funky sliders, but this Nomad 4 is quite tapping heavy, just like the last one we saw in the round of 32. Some finger control bursts, also a little bit of aim control as well. Some of these burst shapes do have you zigging and zagging back and forth, so it can be quite tricky to hold on to the combo up until the first break. But it is CS 3.4, so you don't really have to zig and zag that hard on the wiggles. And despite what the patterns are, it is pretty approachable thanks to the CS. On the other side, it's going to be looking like a pretty decent roster again. I don't feel like this is a terrible pick for Michigan, but what we've seen from New York so far, they do just look to be a bit of a step up on these sort of raw mechanics picks. And of course, as I mentioned, Novaco and Tanvir, not the best on the tech. Novaco going to be the one forced to play it. Fortunate for him. Of course, being accompanied by Hogrider and Lilycat. Hogrider continuing his Permaloggy streak. And Lilycat, probably just the most capable remaining mechanics players. There goes Hogrider on the first big slider, excuse me. We'll have to see if he struggles on those big sliders later on the map, as there are a couple more to go. But for now, everyone just holding on in this little finger control section we have to start things off. It will get harder further we go on, and there are some quite spaced 1/4 snaps here at 178 BPM. All players going the correct direction on that circle slider. So it does look like the players have practiced the map. Here we go into a bit of a harder section. The sliders are quite big, and Lilycat does drop, finding the slider break. The aim control only going to get tougher from here on out. Some of these patterns zigging and zagging, going back and forth, and the spacing also getting bigger on the 1/4 snaps. Hogrider and Novaco still holding on, but it's still a three-way from the side of New York, and this lead is quickly increasing. Jameson finally going to drop, but it's going to be traded by Novaco. So all the FCs down on the side of Michigan. It's just Hogrider on this reverse choke versus the two FCs of Como and Caffeine, and this is looking pretty rough again for Michigan, as New York holding on quite nicely here. Lilycat not really having that big of recovery yet, and I don't know if there's enough map, even if Como and Caffeine were to break right here. Like there is this little build-up section where they could find a slider break, but instead it's gonna be Novaco to find that one big slider stream, and there goes Hogrider on a Bancho miss. Actually, that is not a real miss. But what is a real miss is the misses from Jameson, Lilycat, and Novaco, still not in the favor of Michigan, and that's already 400,000 score. Quickly approaching 500,000 in the favor of New York. Caffeine and Como going to be holding on through that last really big snap section. Snap aim pattern. And although Hogrider will close out his reverse choke, It actually, excuse me, looks like nobody will be closing out their FC. But yeah, Como just missing on those last few notes of the map there, but matters not, as they have put in more than enough work already. Gonna be taking their point in a consolidated breakpoint as well. We are waiting the pick of Michigan. It looks like they're gonna go poking and prodding in the hyper precision, and given that I mean, I was going to say given that they have a precision specialist, but excuse me, the precision specialist is actually on the side of New York. Looking at Colin 3, there's a bit of a question for the rest of the players. Como is quite well-rounded, but hyper precision, not something. I mean, it is a pretty sort of new player-friendly skill set, despite what you may think in terms of tournament skill sets. Like something like a hidden 2 is so unfriendly to new players unless you're just used to playing with hidden and used to playing low AR. Meanwhile, you do look at something like precision, and it is really just trying to aim better. So it is an extension of that aim skill set. This map, gonna be taking that to quite an extreme, almost CS9. Just under that at 8.8, and the AR as well, AR8. Gonna be making things a little bit more dense, so it's a bit easier to read. It's actually not too bad, the AR8. Thanks to A, the slow BPM of the song, and also the B, the small circles. Lower AR gonna be helping a lot with increasing the density to a readable degree when the circles are this small. And we do have the rosters in the lobby. We are going to be seeing Colin 3 like we expected, and Caffeine in for some of those Nomad stuffs. Nomad Gimmick is the name of his game, as well as Hidden Gimmick. And Bach Pizza going to be filling out the last slot. Looking at the side of Michigan, we do have Hog Rider, of course, no questions there. Accompanying him this time is going to be Tanvir and Gatorcat. Tanvir a little bit surprising, but I guess he can play this one well enough and also has the mechanics for it. I suppose he can read it well enough, despite his struggles he'll usually have on reading. And it's going to be Gatorcat to round out their last slot, probably just for that low AR comfort. He is normally their easy player. I wasn't fully expecting to see him. I mean, I guess we would see him in for Hiddens if those are picked into Michigan. For now, gonna be finding some early misses, but gonna be traded with Caffeine and Colin 3, the precision specialist on the side of New York. So a little bit in the favor of Michigan at the moment, as Hog Rider is on that FC to match Bach Pizza. And as we say that right out of the break, gonna be finding a slider break on Bach Pizza side. So now it's Hog Rider and Tanvir on the reverse choke as well. Gonna be pulling things quite far in the favor of Michigan already. This map is incredibly short. We're already seeing a 200,000 score lead just from that. As you go into some bigger jumps. And over again, we have seen so many players just hit those jumps like it's nothing. And yeah, this map is quickly approaching its end, just into the last section now. 300,000 score is the name of the game. And yeah, that will pretty much just secure things for Michigan. Looking to be a pretty good pick for them, as Gatorcat will drop their combo into the ending, but Hog Rider with a very nice FC. Unmatched. Tanvir also on the reverse choke, and at least I think that's an FC from Hog Rider. They do have 250s, which could have been early slider breaks, but the AC is also quite low, 92%. Not entirely sure what's going on there. I'm pretty sure those were slider breaks, as I think there's just around 500 combo. The score shouldn't be that low for 92%. But unfortunately on the other side, Caffeine's struggling quite a bit with the accuracy and just being consistent in general across their team, holding enough combo on that one. Quite tough when the circles are as small as they are. So Michigan finding a breath of fresh air after losing a break point on Hard Rock 1 earlier. Maybe a bit of a Hard Rock 2 angle after that victory. But we'll have to see when the pick goes back to them, as now it is New York with choice. It's going to be a roll 2, they roll 1, and they get the no mod 2. Likely rolling between the no mod 2 and the DT2 there. And the 1 being the mod pool that comes earlier in the pool display. And yeah, for these I mean, New York is going to be looking to finish things in the next few maps. Or they would like to, certainly. It's going to be a no-mod 2 pick. Going to be looking for these next 2 tapping maps to try and close things out, although they would still need a break point on Michigan's next pick. These things are currently 3-2, this being best of 11. Need to get to 6 to win. It does look like New York is fairly prepared for this pick, and yeah, so many of these players are going to be just fine on this no mod 2 despite how specialized it is. We do see Como, the all-rounder, Jameson coming in for a bit of a specialty roster move. It's going to be Caffeine to round them out. A little bit surprised to not see Mustache. Caffeine not exactly known for his tapping, but maybe a little bit of a flow aim gap there, as this map is quite flow aim heavy. Lots of big spacing on the Axel decel. It is helped a little bit by the fact that it's CS 3.6, but we're going to see right away as the action really just starts. These Axel decels are quite mean. But not going to be catching anyone out yet. It's actually Novico getting caught out on a little bit of a finger control section. And Hog Rider on a big stream there, but so yeah, not the best start for Michigan. Here is New York still holding on to 3 FCs. You do really hope for all 3 of these players on the side of Michigan to recover, as they are supposed to be quite good at the tapping, but here we go into another big flow aim section. Lots of Axel, decel. Jameson gonna be the first to break on the side of New York. It's traded out a little bit later by Hog Rider, but the combo's still in the favor of New York with that trade. And this stream just keeps on going and going. It goes on for quite a long time. And hold on here, Tanvir still holding on to an SS into the break. This man can tap. Into a little bit of a finger control section. It's actually going to catch out Como on some of the aim here. Tanvir still holding on to the SS through the little wiggle stream, and he finally drops a 100, but still holding on to the combo. He is holding on to all of New York's hopes. Caffeine also at 99%, however, as we go into this last section, still 100k, but there comes the chain misses, Tanver versus Caffeine, but hold on! It's still Hogrider and Novaco with the big recoveries to hold on for them. The score lead is coming back so quickly, but there goes Hogrider, there goes Novaco. Unfortunately, right at the ending, it looked like it was going to flip last minute, but Novaco and Hogrider not able to finish the job. Not able to take advantage of that last opportunity that was presented to them. And with those chain misses at the end, the map will go the way of New York as they lock up another point of their own. Right. It is Michigan's pick. We will see if they do decide to go into that Hard Rock 2 following up on their precision victory in Nomad 5, or if they decide to try something entirely new. As to what that new thing would be, I'm not really sure. Maybe they go into some alt, like the Nomad 3 or the Hidden 3. We haven't seen a lot of Nomad 3 picks yet so far, at least from the matches that I've casted, which is quite a bit, I must say. But we will see alt. It's going to be Hidden 3. So, not super hard into the alt. It is quite aim adjacent, this one. Leaning more on snap alt and also being so low BPM at 120. It might as well be a bit of a 240 BPM awkward aim with the Hidden. Could almost fit this into a Hidden 1 probably as well. So this is quite interesting, as I did read New York to be quite a reading build team. You know, you have Caffeine and Jameson. And then even for this, you could have anyone as your third, I feel. Maybe not Colin 3. But Mustache is able to play easy if needed with some practice. And Bach Pizza being part of that easy and reading core, I think he's more than capable of playing these maps as well. And of course, Como, the all-rounder, the new spawn, the new core member of their team, holding them together like glue. He is sitting in the lobby at the moment. Hidden 3. I do have a little bit of a birdie whispering in my ear. We should be seeing player excuse me, player 01, that's Hogrider's old name. And should be seeing Gaber Cat. And for this one as well, their hidden specialist. Third player probably is Kyle. Yeah, the Novaco and Tanvir are not the most hidden inclined players, so these rosters making a lot of sense. But actually, it's not going to be Gaber Cat, it's going to be Tanvir in. I mean, they did do pretty well on their tryouts on the Hidden 1. So they're not totally illiterate as it would come, and probably just a little bit more comfortable on the alt snapping mechanics than Gaber Cat. You know, spacing does get a little bit big for snap alt sometimes on this map, and that is made possible by the incredibly low BPM. As we saw there, that was a little bit of a bigger snap aim pattern there to end the intro, to close out the intro of this map. So maybe the more hardcore hidden players such as Gaber Cat not as comfortable on the mechanics part of this map. It's going to be Bach Pizza to find the actual first miss, and I believe that's a first in this match. Quickly trade out by Tanvir, unfortunately, so Michigan not able to flip the score, but perhaps a bit of a small Pyrrhic victory, if nothing else. Pyrrhic victory. I'm not quite sure which one it is. Fortunately, Iskall going to be finding a miss of his own as well right before the first TI, but does get traded out by Caffeine, and now it's just player 1 versus Como in the 1v1. Going to be trying to turn Como into player 2 as he fights for the lead here, but Como having a little bit of advantage in the accuracy department, just around 0.3%. Most of this lead is just coming from the stronger supporting combos we see on the bottom row. You see Tanvir breaking right at the end of that first TI as well. The accuracy is also ever so slightly in the favor of New York, with Tanvir at 97, Bach Beats and Caffeine at 98. Actually, Caffeine just now eclipsing 99. But we do see both teams quite comfortable on this map. On the eyes, I do say that Iskall going to be breaking on some of those back and forth aim patterns. A little bit unfortunate there. And that will give the advantage to New York. We do go into the second TI section, and unfortunately it's Hog Rider the first to find the miss, the under aim on the triangle. And it's Como to continue to hold on to his FC, as his supporting combos also continued build up into the bridge. Caffeine and Bach Pizza on some very nice recovery, especially with that 99% AC for Caffeine, still holding onto an S rank even, as his earlier breaks were due to sliders. I am getting a birdie telling me that Iskall 11 is just Kyle. He is Kyle. Unfortunately, it will be Kyle to find some more misses into this ending, as will Tanvir, and actually the entire bottom row, my goodness. But yeah, this map has long since been over, ever since Hog Rider found that unfortunate combo break in the second TI, and Como just holding on strong into the ending. And what a spawn of a player this is for New York. This player just coming in here new to tournaments and FCing map after map. That No Mod 4 was basically an FC. We can give it to him. What an incredible entry to the 5-digit USA scene this is from Como. Another FC to bring New York to match point. All right, well, last pick of the map, and that was Michigan's pick as well, mind you. So break point, bringing New York to match point. Give me a roll 3 as Caffeine looks at his team sheet and finds out what the 2 means. It's going to mean the DT2. Not sure what else. I'm not sure what 4 would have meant. Maybe it would be the Force Mod 1, and maybe the 1 would mean the DT1. Probably not the most enthusiastic about picking into Hard Rock 2 for the last pick, and especially with their Hard Rock 3 ban. And Hard Rock 1, I mean, Hard Rock 1, they did take the Hard Rock 1, but of course losing on the Hyper Precision not long after that. It's going to be a DT2 as New York looks to close things out. Some more tapping. Of course, doing quite well for themselves on the No Mod 2 and the DT3. So yeah, it should be quite comfortable here. Gonna be looking at Como once again. This man just does not stop what he's doing. It's gonna be Moustache, and surprisingly, Caffeine is still sitting in the lobby. I'm not sure what's going up with that. Maybe just lobby sitting for his third player. We should just be seeing, I mean, I would think Bach Pizza on this one. We did see him as the third player to accompany Como and Moustache earlier on the DT3, which is quite similar to this one. A little bit lower BPM, but I think this is still well out of Caffeine's wheelhouse. As for the Michigan side, of course, no surprises seeing Hog Rider in the lobby. It's going to be Novaco in their tapping spawn. Perhaps a bit surprisingly, not Tanvir, who did have such incredible act on the No Mod 2 earlier. And it will be Lilycat to fill out the roster, but no, it's going to be Caffeine filling out that third player slot for New York, and I mean, we'll just have to see what he's cooking up with this one. Yeah, we will see some early misses already into this first little mini Ki section of the intro. It's going to be Como and Caffeine to break, trade out by Lilycat and Novaco as well. So just Hog Rider and Moustache holding on. Hog Rider, the evergreen player for Michigan, looking quite well de-rusted on top of that. Here we go into another big tapping section. This first half of the map is quite difficult in terms of just the aim, the aim requirements. It just demands so much of you in terms of your general high BPM mechanics, both on the tapping and some of the 1-2s, and just generally keeping up with everything that's going on. And there goes Hog Rider, finding a little bit of a slider break on the under tap, and it's Moustache to hold on to the FC into the break. Como also on quite a nice reverse choke at the moment. Going to be matched by Lilycat, but for the moment, Moustache does go unmatched, and the score lead is quickly going to eclipse 200,000 and grow even further. There is a little bit of a 1/3 section here. We'll see if it catches anyone out, but no. Everyone has practiced, and I think that might just be the final nail in the coffin. This last section of the map, not too tricky. A little bit of decel on these streams, but of course decel much easier than accel, and we're seeing that on full display. Noaco, Lilycat going to be dropping their combos as Como, Moustache, and Caffeine hold on quite comfortably. And that is just the end of the map and the end of the match, as New York, Caffeine even stepping in for a nice 90% AC 500k combo game. And New York looking to be continuing their good streak of recent years. And looking to make another deep run this year in the 5GG United States, making it to the quarterfinals upper bracket. Michigan B, in the meantime, will be sent down to the lower bracket of quarterfinals, but still already much better than their performance last year, qualifying only to go 0-2, of course, already making it to the quarterfinals. Gonna be pretty happy about that one, despite losing to New York. As yes, we must give our flowers to Caffeine, Moustache, Colin 3, Como, Bach Pizza, and Jameson. It does look like we might have a little tiebreaker show match. So a little bit of fun before we get on with things at 2 UTC in just 10 minutes. Of course, we do have a dual stream for that one, both an A stream and a B stream happening. This tiebreaker, I don't think we've seen it yet this week. And if I just go into full chrono schedule, yeah, no matches going to tiebreaker so far. I think we saw a little bit of a show match in one of the prior streams, but yeah, not quite in there. No match quite making it there, I should say. Maybe we'll get to see some funny mod combinations. Probably not, given the nature of this tiebreaker. It is a little bit of a D&B light mech tech, so parsing the rhythms on this can be quite difficult. But I do think the object placements are quite intuitive. Of course, with a map like this, you do have a little bit of strange rhythms here and there, you know, some syncopation, some staggering quads and doubles. We might see an easy though. Still, we do have some quite good easy players. I think Caffeine is quite good at the easy. But no, we're just going to be seeing, actually, that does look like a hidden preference for them, and it's actually going to be Colin 3 on the Hard Rock as well. No, I mean, normally you will think that Hard Rock is a bit of a styling move to do on the tiebreakers, but some of the tiebreakers we've seen this tournament, particularly the one, I mean, I guess we have only seen one other back in the round of 32, that was Air 9, so quite dense, and it definitely did make sense if you were one of those players who just really struggles with density to take that Hard Rock. I don't think we saw any last round. We'll just have to check the stats. The stats. Check the stats, yeah. And yeah, I'm gonna take a quick look at that. Actually, we did see a Hard Rock from Meat Computer on the tiebreaker last week. So yeah, it's not out of the question. That guy does like his Hard Rock, and if he can't read the map, like, because the density, then yeah, definitely makes sense to take the Hard Rock. I do think it's a little bit more of a style move to do on a map like this one, where it's definitely quite mechanically intensive, and also not AR9. It is a rather comfortable AR 9.4. As we'll just have to hold on for a moment. Sorry about that, had to get the door, but yeah, we do just have a fun little show match going on at the moment. It is interesting that we do see 3 players taking the Hard Rock to try and show off a little bit on this map, show what they can do. I do have to wonder if we do have an easy somewhere in the wings. Maybe we can get some confirmation on that later, but yeah, I'm not really sure who would be on that. Maybe Bach Pizza from New York. And from Michigan, maybe Gabriel Cat, but I don't really know them as hardcore easy players in the same way some of these names like Keffin are, where they can just take easy on some of these free mod maps in the later rounds. And also, of course, Tarragon, for those who remember Grand Finals last year on the easy for the free mod 3, it was the Toho Rhythm map. I think she SS'd that, or almost SS'd that, but maybe we can see if anyone's on the easier and funnier mod combination. after everything is all said and done. But for now, we are just enjoying some good gameplay. And actually, Komo's still holding on to a 99% FC at that. Definitely enjoying the gameplay from him. Very visually pleasing to watch as caught-up players continue to struggle a little bit on some of these mechanics. Of course, neither of these teams out of the tournament yet. Michigan going to be going down to the lower bracket to face the loser of the North California C versus Florida C. That would be the seed 4 versus seed 13 matchup. And then New York going on to face the winner of said matchup in the upper bracket quarterfinals. That's just going to be a bit of an interesting one, as NorCal C does have history with the state of Florida. Not the C team in particular, but with the B team last year. Anyone to look out for on Monday at 1 UTC. Of course, after this, we do have a couple more matches at 2 UTC. It's going to be Colorado A versus Alabama A back on the A stream once we're done, and then Connecticut B versus Georgia B on the B stream. And then at 3 UTC, we have Nevada versus Oregon, and then 4 UTC, it's going to be Tennessee versus Virginia. And that is looking to potentially be on the B stream in case 3 UTC runs a little long. But it does look like we are closing in on the end of this map. And closing in at the end of our time here. But my time with you guys is not over yet. I'll be seeing you in just a few minutes for Colorado versus Alabama, I believe. Yeah, you'll see me on either the A or the B stream, and joining you on whichever one I am not on will be Laren and Shy Cryo. So look forward to that cast as we have some more 5USC action coming your way. Of course, congratulations to New York, and we'll see you guys in just a little bit.